In the history of combat sport, greatness is often measured in numbers, knockouts, title defenses, championship belts. But sometimes a fighter's story is written long before the bright lights and roaring crowds. In the high mountains of Dagestan, a boy was being shaped for something far greater than victory. His name, Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Still undisputed! Khabib Nurmagomedov has finished Conor McGregor.
I think there can be little doubt that the best wrestler would be Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Khabib takes people down, he's punching them in the face and he's trying to submit him and he's talking shit to him at the time you're supposed to talk shit during the fight.
Motherfucker's not on the outside boxing you and...
Conor for a while was isolating. He had two hands on that wrist. He was stopping him for a long time from closing his hands.
I've seen him do really well against big guys, and to think that guy that's 155 pounds, 175, 180, I just don't see it. I don't see it. The takedowns, I've seen him take top-level guys down. I'm just thinking to myself, and they can't get up.
A true gentleman, a very good human being. He is using his influence for something positive.
For most, the journey to the top of mixed martial arts begins in gyms with padded walls and modern equipment. Khabib's gym was a strip of worn wrestling mats in a cold, concrete room. His sparring partners, older cousins, local champions, and once, a bear. But this wasn't a stunt. It was his father's way of teaching a lesson. Control the chaos, and you control the fight. Every morning began the same, the chill of mountain air, the sting of icy water, and miles of running before breakfast. In Dagestan, the fight didn't start in the cage. It started in life. Survival meant discipline, and discipline meant everything. Long before the world knew his name, Khabib's identity was forged under the watch of Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov, a man whose training philosophy was as unshakable as the mountains themselves. There were no excuses, no shortcuts, no wasted movements. His father didn't train him to win. He trained him so losing wouldn't even be an option. This is not just the story of an undefeated champion. This is the story of a fighter who was never chasing victory. He was chasing perfection. By 2008, Khabib Nurmagomedov was more than ready to leave the mountains of Dagestan and test himself on a professional stage. His first fight didn't come with flashing cameras or massive arenas. It was in a modest venue where the crowd's noise was mixed with the hum of old ceiling fans and the smell of sweat hanging in the air. But to Khabib, it didn't matter. A fight was a fight. He walked in with the same calm stare he'd had since he was a boy. Unmoved, unreadable. Minutes later, his hand was raised. No drama, no wild celebration, just the quiet acknowledgement of a job done exactly as planned. In the months that followed, he didn't slow down. 4 fights in 4 months, each one ending the same way, with Khabib leaving the cage unscathed and another name crossed off his list. Promoters noticed. Fans started whispering about the kid from Dagestan who never seemed tired, never seemed hurt, and never seemed worried. He wasn't chasing fame. He was chasing something much harder to earn, respect. As the victories piled up, his reputation grew beyond the small promotions of Russia. His opponents weren't just losing, they were breaking. Something about Khabib's presence inside a cage was different. It wasn't loud, it wasn't flashy, but it was suffocating, and deep down, Khabib knew exactly where he wanted this road to lead. The UFC wasn't just a goal. It was inevitable. All he had to do was keep moving forward, one fight at a time. By 2011, Khabib Nurmagomedov's reputation had already crossed borders. He was undefeated, relentless, and carried with him the kind of aura that made promoters whisper his name long before fans ever did. It wasn't a question of if the UFC would call. It was only a matter of when. That call finally came. In January of 2012, inside Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, Tennessee, Khabib stepped into the Octagon for the very first time. His opponent, Kamal Shalarus, a seasoned fighter known for his toughness and experience. On paper, it looked like the perfect test for a newcomer. For Khabib, it was just another night of work. The crowd didn't know what to expect. A Russian fighter with a perfect record but no big-name recognition? Was he hype? Or was he real? Within minutes, they had their answer. Khabib overwhelmed Shalarus, pushing a pace that left no room to breathe. And, when it was over, he stood victorious by submission in the third round. There was no wild celebration, no theatrics, just the quiet nod of a man who knew this wasn't the finish line, it was the beginning. That night, the UFC lightweight division had a new name to fear, and Khabib Nurmagomedov was officially on the map. Khabib's debut was convincing, but in the UFC, one win doesn't make a career. The real test came in his second fight, when he was matched against Gleison Tibau. Tibau wasn't just experienced, he was a veteran of more than 20 UFC bouts, a man known for his size, strength, and resilience. Many believed the young fighter from Dagestan would finally meet his match. What followed was a gritty 3-round battle that forced Khabib to dig deeper than ever before. Tibau managed to defend takedowns, something no one else had really done against Khabib. The fight went to the judges, and Khabib earned the unanimous decision. To the critics, it was proof he was human. To Khabib, it was a valuable lesson. Sometimes the road isn't about domination, it's about finding a way to win, no matter what. And that, too, was part of becoming a champion. From there, he adjusted, he grew, and he came back sharper. Against Thiago Tavares, he left no room for doubt, finishing the fight with a devastating knockout in the very first round. Against Abel Trujillo, he showcased his relentless pace, setting a UFC record with 21 takedowns in a single fight. It was no longer a question of if Khabib could hang with the best. It was becoming clear that the best would struggle to hang with him. By the time he faced Pat Healy, a respected veteran, the pattern was undeniable. Relentless pressure, smothering control, and a pace that seemed impossible to match. Khabib wasn't just winning, he was dismantling opponents, taking their confidence piece by piece. The lightweight division was beginning to notice. Fighters who once welcomed his name on a contract began to hesitate. Fans who had doubted him were now asking a different question. If no one could stop him here, how far could this run really go? Khabib's climb to the title wasn't sudden. It was the result of years of relentless preparation, discipline, and unmatched focus. In December 2017, he faced Edson Barboza, a fighter known for his lightning-fast kicks and striking precision. But Khabib's strategy was simple and deadly: pressure, control, and patience. From the opening bell, he imposed his will, closing distance, taking Barboza down, and neutralizing his offense with relentless wrestling. Every attempt to escape or strike was met with calculated dominance, and by the end of the fight, it was clear who controlled the Octagon. Victory was his, and the path to the lightweight title was opening. Then came April 2018, a moment the world had been waiting for, the chance to claim the vacant UFC lightweight belt. His opponent, Iaquinta, was tough and resilient, but Khabib entered the fight with calm confidence, the kind that comes from knowing every training session, every mountain run, and every fight before this moment had prepared him for exactly this challenge. From the first strike to the final takedown, Khabib dictated the pace, never giving Iaquinta room to breathe or think. Round after round, he maintained control, a perfect blend of patience and pressure, until the judge's decision was unanimous. Khabib Nurmagomedov was the new UFC lightweight champion. From the frozen mountains of Dagestan to the brightest lights of the Octagon, he had achieved what only the fewest fighters in history could: the pinnacle of his sport, reached through discipline, focus, and an unwavering will. Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Conor McGregor, the biggest pay-per-view event in history. Two worlds collided in that octagon: the calm, disciplined eagle from the mountains of Dagestan, and the brash, trash-talking Irish superstar who could sell ice to an Eskimo. The world watched with bated breath, cameras rolling, fans screaming, and social media exploding like a live wire. From the opening bell, Khabib's focus was unshakable. Conor tried to bait him, to dance, to entertain the crowd, but Khabib wasn't there for theatrics. He was there to fight. to execute years of training, and to make every takedown count. Round after round, he pressed forward, relentless, patient, almost surgical in his approach. And then, in the fourth round, the moment the world remembers, the neck crank that ended it all. Conor tapped, the referee waved it off, and the arena erupted. But the story didn't end with the submission. Khabib's emotions, raw and unfiltered, poured out after the fight. His team had been insulted, and he reacted. Not like a villain, but like a fiercely loyal son, teammate, and protector. The crowd went wild. Some cheered, some gasped, but no one could deny the intensity of the moment. There was humor in the tension too. The world watched, expecting a dance. Khabib said, "Let's dance." McGregor said, "Bring it." And then Khabib brought it, hard. The calm eagle had spoken, and the message was clear. Respect comes from actions, not words. That night, Khabib didn't just win a fight, he cemented his legacy as a champion of discipline, loyalty, and unstoppable determination. The celebration should have been simple. Victory. A belt around his waist. A job well done. But for Khabib, the fight was never just about him. It was about loyalty, family, and defending those who stood beside him. When the bell rang and the world realized he had won, emotions boiled over. In a moment that shocked millions, Khabib leapt over the cage, chasing a confrontation that had nothing to do with his opponent and everything to do with protecting his team. Chaos erupted. Fighters, officials, and security scrambled. Cameras caught the frenzy. Fans gasped, commentators shouted, and social media exploded. It was messy, tense, and unforgettable. Yet beneath the controversy was a simple truth. This was a man whose passion ran deeper than trophies or titles. His emotions, unfiltered and raw, were a testament to his character, his upbringing, and his unwavering loyalty. And while the world debated the incident for weeks, one thing was clear. Khabib Nurmagomedov didn't just fight in the Octagon. He lived every second, every struggle, and every victory with a depth that few could comprehend. Let's just say he didn't do a post-fight victory lap. He went full postal. After the chaos of UFC 229, Khabib returned to the Octagon with the same quiet intensity that had defined his entire career. First came Dustin Poirier, a fighter known for his striking and heart. But Khabib didn't need fireworks or theatrics. He relied on what had carried him through 27 fights before: discipline, timing, and relentless pressure. Round after round, he dismantled Poirier, controlling the pace, neutralizing every attack, and finishing the fight in dominant fashion. Victory wasn't a surprise, it was inevitable. Then came Gaethje, the final test of his career. Gaethje was a whirlwind, powerful, aggressive, and unafraid. The world watched, expecting chaos, but Khabib had one thing on his side: unwavering calm. From the first strike to the submission that ended the fight, Khabib was precise, patient, and unstoppable. When Gaethje tapped, Khabib had secured not just another win, but a perfect, undefeated record: 29-0, 11 submissions, 8 TKOs, and 10 decisions. By the end, it was clear. Khabib's legacy wasn't just about winning. It was about perfection, dominance, and the kind of discipline that transforms a fighter into a legend. Unbeaten, unstoppable, unbreakable. The eagle had soared higher than anyone could reach. When people talk about greatness in MMA, it's not just about wins. It's about how you win. Khabib didn't just collect victories, he erased doubt. Think about it. In his entire career, the man only lost 2 rounds. 2. That's not a stat, that's a mic drop. Fans on Reddit put it best. He was never hurt, never dropped, never even cut. Imagine going through 29 fights and looking like you just came back from a spa day. Analysts call it surgical precision. Every takedown, every strike, every choke. It wasn't chaos, it was a blueprint. Khabib didn't fight opponents, he solved them. Like a math problem he already knew the answer to. And here's where the debate kicks in. GOAT status. Is it Khabib? Is it John Jones? GSP? Fans argue endlessly, but here's the truth. Undefeated isn't just a record, it's a statement. No one ever figured him out. Not once. He walked away with his legacy intact, spotless and unblemished. In a sport built on violence, Khabib's record is almost poetic. Because going undefeated isn't about perfection, it's about domination that leaves no questions behind. October 2020, Abu Dhabi. Khabib Nurmagomedov had just dominated Gaethje, but then the shock. Khabib took off his gloves, placed them on the canvas, and through tears, announced his retirement. He was only 32 years old, undefeated, untouched, still in his prime. The MMA world stood frozen. For Khabib, it wasn't about legacy or money anymore. It was about family. His father, Abdul Manap, the architect of his career, had passed away just months earlier. And Khabib, a son molded by loyalty, kept his word. Without his father, he would not fight again. The human side of a legend was revealed that night. Not the wrestler, not the champion, but the son, honoring his father's dream. Fans hoped, begged, speculated. Would he return? Would the silence break? But the answer never changed. Khabib walked away on top, undefeated, leaving behind a mystery that still haunts fight fans to this day. His gloves stayed in the Octagon, and his silence spoke louder than any punch, takedown, or victory ever could.
One of the biggest reasons why I become champion, I think this is about my mental part. How I can control my emotion, you know. I think I can control anything. Anything happen with me in the world, I can control this. I can handle this, you know.
If you want to give up, you can give up. This is your choice. You can do whatever you want. Your time's gonna come, but you cannot give up.